Today we're going to talk about multiplying decimals. So I can multiply positive and negative decimals. Let's do a recap. I hope right now that you can do this without needing to look back at our notes. If we have a positive and a positive being multiplied together, there are no negatives, so our answer is going to be positive. Now, on here, we've got a negative and a positive being multiplied. One negative, one is an odd number of negatives, so it will be negative. The same thing goes for the next one. A positive times a negative, one negative, it's an odd number of negatives, so it is negative. And then the last one, two negatives together is an even number of negatives, so it's like they cancel each other out and become a positive. Okay, so let's do these steps together. Here's our example numbers that we're going to use. And it says step 1, multiply the numbers together and ignore the decimals. So let's go ahead and rewrite this to make it easier for us to multiply them. Oops, let me do that. Okay, now this time we don't need to worry about the decimals and lining them up because it doesn't matter for us, but we kind of lucked out. They do line up here. But again, keep in mind that when you're multiplying them, it is a-okay that they are not lining up together. And we might have some practice with that where they don't line up, and that's good. That'll help us. All right, so let's go ahead and multiply these. Hopefully you remember how to multiply multi-digit problems. All right, so 2 times 9 is 18. Put the 8, carry the 1. 2 times 7 is 14, plus 1 is 15, carry the 1. 2 times 4 is 8, plus 1 is 9. 2 times 2 is 4. And remember, it says ignore the decimals, so we're not even going to worry about those decimals right now. Now let's work on the 3 in the tenths digit. So I am going to put a 0 so that I can move over to the tenths and start with the 3. 3 times 9 is 27. Put the 7, carry the 2. 3 times 7 is 21, plus 2 is 23, so put the 3, carry the 2. 3 times 4 is 12, plus 2 is 14, carry the 1. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7. Okay, now we're going to add those together, and we don't have to do the 0 because 0 times 9 is 0, 0, 0, 0, so we're just going to skip that one. So 8 plus 0 is 8. 5 plus 7 is 12, put a 2, carry the 1 up there. 1 plus 9 is 10, plus 3 is 13, carry the 1. 1 plus 4 is 5, plus 4 is 9, and then 7 plus 0 is 7. Okay, so we have done the first step that they have asked us to do. Now let's move on to step 2. Step 2 says count the total number of digits past the decimals. So 24.79 and 0.32. So 1, 2, 1, 2. 4 digits past the decimal. Okay, so I'm going to highlight that. When you say past the decimal, it's like we're getting into the change of a dollar. So the 79 cents and the 32 cents there, those are past the decimal. So 4 digits, 1, 2, 3, 4, past the decimal. So now step 3 is to place a decimal point with the same number of digits behind the point. So watch how we do this. Let's get our number, our answer. 7, 9, 3, 2, 8. I rewrote it. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to start all the way at the end, and we're going to go 4 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4. So our decimal is going to go right there between the 7 and 9. So really our answer is 7 and, we say and with the decimal, 7 and 9, 3, 2, 8. Okay, so we've got all those down there. And if you don't remember place value, we've got the tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 10,000ths, okay? All right, so let's try the practice. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is line it up and multiply. So now a negative times a positive, it's going to be negative, so I'm going to go ahead and just put my negative down there right now to help me remember. negative 6.78 times 0.43. Okay, 3 times 8 is 24. Put the 4, carry the 2. 3 times 7 is 21, plus 2 is 23, carry the 2. 3 times 6 is 18, plus 2 is 20. And let's move on. We're going to put a 0 as a placeholder so we can move over to the 4 and have it start directly under the 4. 4 times 8 is 32. Put the 2, carry the 3. 4 times 7 is 28, plus 3 is 29, 31. So put the 1, and then carry the 3. And then 4 times 6 is 24, plus 3 is 27. And now we're going to add it together. So 4, 5, 1, 9, 2. Now the last thing that we need to do is, well, second to last thing is figure out how many decimal places, and then we're gonna put the decimal where it goes. So past the decimal, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 7, 8, 4, 3. Those are the ones past the decimal, so there are 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So my answer is negative 2.9154. All right. Okay, so let's try the next one. It's 2 negatives. 2 negatives means a positive, so I don't need to put a negative down here. It's going to be a positive as our answer. So now I'm going to put 0.781, 1.4. What do you notice right off the bat with how I wrote this? If you notice, I did not line up my decimals. They are not perfectly on top of each other. Because remember, it doesn't matter. We're ignoring the decimals with multiplication because we add in the decimal at the end later on. But when you did addition and subtraction yesterday, you had to line up the decimal. So keep that in mind. Adding and subtracting, line up the decimal. Multiplying, it's okay to not line up the decimal. If it works out, great. If it doesn't work out, that's okay. All right, so let's go ahead and answer this one. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 8 is 32. Put the 2, carry the 3. 4 times 7 is 28, plus the 3 is 31. So put the 1, carry the 3. 4 times 0 is 0, plus 3 is 3. Now, I'm going to put a 0 underneath so that my 2 can start with the 1. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 8 is 8. 1 times 7 is 7. And 1 times 0 is 0. So I don't need to write that. I'm just going to go ahead and do this. Okay, now 4 plus 0 is 4. 2 plus 1 is 3. 1 plus 8 is 9. And 3 plus 7 is 10. All right, so now the last thing we need to do is figure out how many decimals and make our hills to that spot. So past the decimal, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the 7, the 8, the 1, and the 4. So there are 4 past. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So our answer is a positive 1.0934. Okay, and again, it's positive because it's 2 negatives being multiplied together. So let's look at our practice here. So on your practice, looks like it's going to be okay for you to go ahead and keep going and do all those on your own. So good luck.